Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you 4 different ways in which you can hide a page on your Squarespace website. Now you might have different reasons to hide certain pages on your website, and each method that I'm going to show you today has a different use case. If you're building a website on Squarespace and you haven't yet got a copy of my Squarespace website checklist, there's a link to it in the description box below. It's a checklist that goes through every single step that you need to take on the back end of your website before you launch. And if you already have a live Squarespace website, you can ensure that you've done everything on the back end with this checklist. So the first way that you might want to hide a page is to hide it from your main navigation. Now, your main navigation sits at the very top of your website in this header, and it will display some of the pages that are live on your website. However, not every single page should be linked up here, and it's not always appropriate for some pages to be linked up in the main navigation. And you can see on this current website, we have a link in bio page that's linked in the main navigation. Now, a link in bio page is usually built on the back end of a website, and it's usually used on Instagram as a gateway into your website. And so for site visitors, it doesn't need to be linked in your main navigation because it's not one of your main website pages, but it's just something that you use for your social media marketing. So we don't want this link in bio page linked in our main navigation menu. We want it to be hidden from the navigation menu, but still be on the back end of our website. So let me show you how to do that. We need to navigate over to the left-hand side over here, and underneath website, if you just click on pages, and you can see here we have 2 sections to this. We have main navigation, and then underneath we have not linked. Everything that appears underneath main navigation will appear here in your navigation menu, and everything here in not linked is a page that's on the back end of your website that isn't linked in your main navigation, but will be accessible in other ways. So through URLs or links or buttons on your website. Now, link in bio, we want to hide that from my main navigation. So to do that, it's really simple. You just need to hover over where it says link in bio, click and hold, and then drag it underneath not linked. And you can see the website here is reconfigured, and link in bio is now on the back end of our website and no longer linked in the main navigation. The second way you might want to hide a page on your website is you might want to hide it from search results, so things like Google or Bing. And the reason you might want to do that is because it might not be very content rich, or like our link in bio page, it might just not be appropriate for the page to show up in search results if it has another use case. So in the example of our link in bio page, it's used just for Instagram, just as a link, as a gateway into your website. It doesn't need to show up on Google or other search engine results. So in order to hide it from search engine results, we first need to hover over the page and click on this cog icon that appears. And just go down here to where it says SEO. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see here we have an option to hide page from search results. If we toggle that on, this page will now no longer show up in Google search or other search engine results. And we just need to click save up here at the top. Now, the third way you might want to hide a page on your website is you might want it password protected. So while this probably isn't appropriate for a link in bio page, this might be appropriate for a page that you have a lot of content on, but it's only available to a select few people who have the appropriate password. And in order to password protect a certain page on your website, you just need to hover over the page, click on the settings, and just towards the bottom, you have an option here to add a password. So you can type your password into here and then hit the save button at the top. If you are using this option to password protect a certain page, you will also want to make sure that it is hidden from search results as well, so that it doesn't end up showing up on Google, but people can't access it. Now, the fourth and final way that you might want to hide a page is you might want to disable it completely. So this would be appropriate if you are building out a page on the back end of your website that's not quite ready to go live, and you're not ready for it to appear in search results, and you're also not ready for anyone to see it yet. Or it might be appropriate for something like your Instagram link in bio page. Perhaps you've just started a new business and you've got your website up and running. However, you haven't yet got an Instagram presence. So until you have an Instagram presence, you might not want to utilize this page. And you also don't want anyone to see it. So if you want to disable a page completely, you need to click on the settings cog again. And you'll see towards the bottom, you have this option that says enable page. If you just toggle that off and hit the save button, you'll see that the page is now grayed out in our pages menu and it is completely disabled. You will still be able to go into the page and make edits. So if a page is under construction, you'll still be able to build it out on the back end, and then you would need to enable it again when you're ready for it to go live. So that's it. That's 4 different ways that you can hide pages on your Squarespace website. If you found this video helpful, please remember to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any further Squarespace tutorials. Be sure to grab your copy of my Squarespace website checklist. The link is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best with your website.